guys, I'm Kashawn and you are watching the psych. Let me stop. I'm Kashawn and you are watching the Book Archer. This was not the video I planned on filming, but I could not put this off any longer. I was like, I need to do this immediately. I am talking about the book review for, you guessed it, Heir. I know y'all are probably tired of me talking about this Throne of Glass series because I already did a review on Throne of Glass and talked about how much I loved it, and I mentioned Crown of Midnight in my September wrap-up video. But this series just keeps getting better and better, and I just could not do a review on this. There are so many things I need to discuss about Heir, like the feels, the story. Oh, it was so good. Some people haven't even started the Throne of Glass series, and some people have not yet read Heir since it did just come out last month. But I still have a lot to say to those people, so this might be a little lengthy video, but I'm going to go ahead and address the folks who either haven't gotten to the point in the series or haven't started the series at all. I've already been recommending Throne of Glass. I really love the book. It was such a great YA fantasy, and I still believe that. However, reading Heir really made me realize that this is not just your average YA fantasy series. This series is freaking epic. This book just completely, it took the series to a whole nother level. I thoroughly enjoyed Throne of Glass and I thoroughly enjoyed Crown of Midnight, but there were still some typical YA elements in there, you know, with love triangles and things like that. And we have had other books about assassins, but the world building that took place in Heir, the backstory that we get for the main character, who you just love more and more as the book goes on. This book had so much to do with the entire Throne of Glass world and everybody's personal journeys that it was like totally different from the first two, but still just as good, if not better. This is only the third book in this series, and it's freaking mind-blowing, and there are 3 more books. Right now is the perfect time for you to start this series. If you're undecided about it, you should go ahead and start it, and I promise you when you get to Heir, it'll be so worth it. I know some people have read Throne of Glass and they're like, oh, it's good, but it was a little overhyped. After reading Heir, I can see where you're coming from, because I loved Throne of Glass when I first read it. But compared to Heir, like, it doesn't even come close. However, the first 2 books are super necessary in building up, you know, the whole entire world, and they're still just as good. So if you're contemplating reading this series, like, just go ahead and start it. I promise it's worth it. This book is almost 600 pages, and I was like, I'm about to read this in about 2 days, but I said, no, I really want to engulf myself in this story, in this world. That's exactly what I did. I took my time reading this, and I'm so glad that I did. There are new characters and new elements and so much new stuff in this book that are not in book 1 and 2, and it's super fulfilling. So if you are worried about investing in a series that's going to be 6 books because you're not sure, you know, if all of the books are going to be good, I'm telling you right now, you want to do it. Aside from that, this freaking cover is legit. Like, what? Look at this cover. I need this on my shelves. I need to own this. I need to have it. Sarah J. Maas, or Sarah J. Maas, girl, you did your thing. And on top of that, Sarah J. Maas has a new adult fantasy series coming out at the beginning of, like, or the first part of 2015. So it's like, girl, you're giving us more. So in short, if you haven't read Heir, or you haven't started this Throne of Glass series, do it. Do it. But now I am about to get into the section of the video where I discuss this book in detail, and it's going to be spoilery. If you haven't read this book or series, you might want to click out now and definitely check out the first half of my Throne of Glass review that I did. I will leave that in the description box below. And if you have read Throne of Glass and Crown of Midnight or anything like that, comment down below. Tell me what your thoughts are on the series, or what series that you think is better than this, because I'm very curious to see what else I need to be picking up. Recommend me some other fantasy series below. Alright, bye to the folks who haven't read it yet. So on to Heir. I'm going to go through my thoughts on Heir based on each person's perspective, and I will start with the new perspective, which is Manon, the witch. I actually enjoyed that element of the book because obviously Selena and Dorian and Kale are characters that we are so comfortable with and used to and invested in. So at first it was a little difficult to get into Manon's perspective, because I'm like, okay, I've been reading 2 other books with these people in it. Who are you? I don't care about your story. What made her story started getting interesting was when her dragon thing got into a fight with Titus and killed it. Because I don't feel like anyone saw that coming. I mean, I didn't see it coming. I really enjoyed the way that her story progressed, especially when you started to seeing a hint that she wasn't totally evil. It's being insinuated that later on she might be an ally to Celaena when she grows a conscience. I definitely thought it was cool learning about the other witch clans, you know, the Black Beaks and Yellow Legs and Blue Bloods and stuff. It really showed how expansive this Throne of Glass world is. It'll be very, very interesting to see what role they play in the next book, because obviously something is going to happen where they're involved with Celaena and the worlds are going to collide. In other words, they wouldn't be showing the perspective. And I'm looking forward to see the moment when Manon really decides, you know, on her own to do something that you can't go back and change, that's against her grandmother's wishes. And I enjoyed the relationship that she built up with her dragon type thing. I can't remember what the name was, but when I looked it up on Google, it looked like a dragon to me. I enjoyed her perspective, not as much as the other 2, but I'm excited that they're still introducing new characters and perspectives to the story. Okay, so the second perspective I'm going to talk about is the perspective with Kale and Dorian. Kale was so annoying in this book. It took him so long to pick a side. Like, I understand that you're having that inner struggle, but when it's obvious that the king is crap, and Dorian can't even save himself from the king because he has magic, and Celaena is the freaking queen of the nation that they conquered in the beginning. Like, obviously, I don't know what took Kale so long to do that. I guess just because it was all he knew. He was hesitant just because he didn't want to be in an uncomfortable situation, like Dorian said. So when he and Aedion, or Celaena's cousin, Aedon, became allies, I was like, oh, okay. I really loved Aedon's character. I feel like a lot of people did. Like, I really want him and Celaena to reunite. Oh, he just seemed like so ride or die for her. He was like, listen, I am loyal to the grave. He thought Celaena was dead this whole time, and yet he was still secretly loyal to her. Dealing with the king, trying to help his people secretly. He was so concerned about how Celaena was going to view him after all those years, because he didn't want her to think that she was a traitor. And I thought that it was so special how she was basically worried about the same thing, like the scene where she's in her mind thinking about, man, my cousin Aedion, like, I've been trying to avoid him or avoid his presence and thinking about him because I don't want him to think that I failed him. So they're both having this pull on their heartstrings about how they feel. And then since he's like distant, like way down the line cousin or whatever, they kind of hinted that he could possibly become king with Celaena once she reclaims her throne. So that'll be interesting, because let's talk about the fact that Celaena got about 12 boos in this book. Like, she got boos for days. I definitely love him as one of the new characters in the book, and I definitely cannot wait to see the role that he plays. I think that he possibly might die. Hopefully he doesn't. I definitely do think that there will be a Celaena Aedion reunion. We need that in the next book. I definitely want to see that. I think that would be great. And he grew up with her, so he's the only person left from her past, from before her parents died. As far as Dorian goes, I did not care about Soroch, whatever her name was. I was not invested in her story at all. Like, I honestly just did not care. I feel like she was literally just put in the book so that she could be beheaded at the end and Dorian could let loose his magic. Like, Dorian is like the lover, not a fighter type. He's driven by his heart. So, of course, you take the one thing away from him that he's found, which is love, and it just ignites him. So we're probably going to see his perspective in the next book and his journey on, you know, dealing with that. There is a potential that Dorian could be a little bit evil in the next book against his will, and at the same time so he doesn't have to feel the hurt of the loss of Sorocha. But I was not invested in her character at all. Like, bye girl, bye. Now, Celaena. Of course, I enjoyed Celaena's perspective more than anything. Oh my god, I love her. This book was such a journey for Celaena. After the death of Nehemia, or Nahima in the last book, obviously Selena took that very, very hard. Of course, until we find out later on the nanny or her person that used to take care of her, Selena seeing her give her life the night that her parents died. So it's basically like Selena has been carrying around these heavy burdens of people constantly dying for her, and then she hasn't been ready to live up to the expectations or the potential that they see in her to be a queen. And that's some heavy stuff. I really, really love the fact that we finally got to see Selena's past. My top favorite scene in the entire book of Heir of Fire was when Selena was fighting the 3 princes from like the other world, and she started having all of those flashbacks to when she was a princess, and you got to see her meet Dorian for the first time, and you got to see her interactions with her parents, her interactions with Aedion, her mom calling her Fireheart, Nahima and everybody coming back to visit her, giving her the encouragement, telling her to get up, and then her like deciding like, no, I'm gonna fight, I'm gonna embrace my queendom. And then like Rowan and his friends looking and seeing like her burst of fire and light coming from the darkness. Oh, I could have fell out right then. That scene was so good. It was so good. That was to the point when I started going crazy, like, oh my God, I cannot take this book. Like, it was such a true struggle for her. It wasn't like they glossed over Nahima's death. It broke Selena. And she was broken for a really long time in the book. That was like the last straw of all of the things that she had been through. And she just persevered. Oh, it was amazing. It was so amazing. And then Rowan, I love that their relationship is platonic, and I just love like the aspects of it. There was just so many things about them two together that's just like, yes. So I have to talk about Rowan a little bit more. I definitely am curious to see what role his character is going to play in the next book, especially since she's going back to Riftfold. So it's going to be the first time where it's like all of her people are kind of in the same area. You get to see all of them, so that should be interesting. My second favorite scene is when she finally goes to see her aunt the second time, Aunt Maeve, Queen Maeve. But you get to see the Fae City, and they talk about it, and they talk about the stone castle, and you get to experience other parts outside of Riftfold in this book. I really loved when she went to the queen and was like, let me tell you how it's going to be, because I'm coming back to take my throne, and I'm not doing your dirty work. And she was fearless. That was the Selena that we had been waiting on. So the next book is about to be so good. Like, I really honestly do not know what's going to happen in the next book, because all of my predictions that I had in the first and second book, they all kind of manifested in this book and the last book. When all these new characters popped up and this new world building popped up, I was like, oh snap. I do think that Caitlyn and that other guy, you know, that were in the first and second book, they're going to pop back up in the next ones. The Queen from the Past is going to pop up in the next book too, because she's going to be back in Riftfold, and we haven't been in a place where Selena could really see her or get visits from her. Out of all, I would give Heir of Fire like 5 out of 5, 6 out of 6 stars. Definitely thumbs up for just everything. I love this series so much. Alright, if you've read it, leave everything below. I just want to talk about it. Thank you so much for checking out this video if you sat through the whole thing. And who knows, I might be doing a giveaway soon, so keep your eyes out for that. Bye!